G'day everybody. Today I'm going to talk about something that I once again never knew existed. Transformers Go. Now I know some of you probably already know everything about it, but I didn't up until recently, and now I want to share what I have watched with you. Because despite its flaws, I really loved watching this mini-series, spin-off. I don't really know what category it falls under, but the main point is that I had a big grin on my face while watching it. So, a very brief summary for those who are unaware like I was. Transformers Go is a Japanese Transformers miniseries that is split into two chapters, Samurai and Shinobi. The events in these two series happen simultaneously with each other, so if you watch episode 1 of Samurai, something similar is happening to the characters of Shinobi in their episode 1 at that same time. These episodes were distributed in Japan's TV magazines and Terabikun, so depending on what magazines you had, you would get an episode of one of the two series. So, with 6 episodes from Samurai and 4 from Shinobi, it makes up a total of 10 episodes that are each 10 minutes long. So, there is not a whole lot to watch. And the uneven amount slightly skews the timelines between the two, but I believe that it goes in the order of Samurai and Shinobi 1, Samurai and Shinobi 2, Samurai 3, Samurai 4, Samurai 5 and Shinobi 3, and finally Samurai 6 and Shinobi 4. In each of these episodes, it sees the protagonist with their sword bots go back in time to gather the sacred legend discs from famous warriors in Japan's past before the Predacons can get their hands on them. Now you may notice that the Predacons look awfully familiar to Transformers Prime's Predacons. That is because this show is also a part of the Aligned continuity, taking place as a splinter off from the Beast Hunters portion of Transformers Prime. Don't believe me? Then take a look at Optimus in the first episodes in all his glory. But we'll get back to Optimus a bit later. Now quickly, before we talk about anything that happens, let's make a quick introduction to our main cast. In Samurai, we have Isami Tatewaki, who is a leading pupil in his grandfather's dojo and soon-to-be heir. He has been thoroughly trained in kendo by his grandfather, who will literally attack him whenever he drops his guard. He is in possession of the Red Legend Disc, which is able to heighten the user's ability to read someone's moves and increase their speed. Isami is dedicated to protecting others with his strong sense of justice, which is able to power the sword bots that he inadvertently awoken. Speaking of, let's begin with the leader, Kenzan. Kenzan is the leader of Team Samurai, who is a fierce and immensely brave bot, rushing into any battle with his emergency double blade style with the samurai techniques of Zan, Jin, Gan. Under his command is Jinbu, his respectful and swift rival. Jinbu is an expert in aerial combat with his high-flying long blade style that allows him to cut any enemy down in the blink of an eye. The last samurai is the powerhouse Gano, who, despite being the youngest, is the strongest of the three, especially when he unleashes his firefighting assault style. Together, with the help of Isami, they can combine into Go Kenzan, Go Jinbu, and Go Gohan, who unleashes their combined power into the style of the bot at the top of the combiner. However, this combination can be broken if either the team or Isami loses heart, causing the combination to be unsuccessful. Parallel to this, in the Shinobi story, we focus on a young ninja boy called Tobio Fuma, who is a descendant of the great Kotaro Fuma, and is warned that he must protect the legend disc that is hidden away in Nagoya Castle. When the Predacons attacked, Tobio steals back the disc and is able to call forth the Team Shinobi. Tobio, like a ninja, is very fast and nimble, being able to even land on his feet after falling out of a tree. He is a little bit more goofier than Isami, but he's a courageous spirit that allows him to protect others and the peace of the world. Speaking of the Shinobi, we have Gekisomaru. Gekisomaru is the leader of Team Shinobi, who transforms into a powerful lion. With his Shinobi ninja skill, Oni Extermination, he can use his kunai to slash down any Predacon before they have a chance to react. Also, fun fact, and I only just realised this, He is voiced by the same person who does Momotaros in Den-O.
そうなり、正義の心があれば、いつか必ずレジェンディスクは手に入れられるなり。言っとくが俺は、最初からクライマックスだぜ!
Small world. Next we have Hishomaru, who is the positivity behind Team Shinobi. He can transform into a condor that allows him to take down anyone who dares to challenge him in the skies. His specialty is the flying fan ninja skill that is able to create tornadoes with a simple flick of his wrist. And the last member is none other than the humble shark Sensui Maru, who, despite being a bot of few words, is a great mentor for the team. Sensui is cool because he can swim through pretty much anything and has the ninja skill diving slash. Together, with the help of Tobio and his legend disc, they can combine into Go Gekiso, Go Hisho, and Go Sensui, combining their power for the bot on the top. They too require Tobio in order to be able to complete their triple combination, and without him, they would never be able to achieve such cool forms. Alright, now I get to talk about the best part, the Predacons. So, there are 5 Predacons in the show, with the main villains being the 4 Oni who all serve under the ruler Dragotron. We'll get to Dragotron a bit later in the video, so let's focus on the 4 Oni generals. First of all is the leader, Budora. Budora would rather his master stay asleep so that he can have all the power for himself. He is incredibly strong but still suffers from the Starscream complex. Budora is able to transform into an Ursagriff and is able to shoot flames from his hands. Next, we have Judora, who is a little bit goofy, but beneath this goofy nature is a rage like none other that is unmatched by any other Predacon. He transforms into a dragon-like Skystalker and is able to shoot powerful beams of energy from his wings and can generate curse waves from his helmet. Next is Ghidorah, who may not be as gimmicky as his brethren, but he is definitely as tough as they come. With a tail whip in one hand and a missile launcher in the other, this demonic drake is one tough nut to crack. And last of all, we have Bakudora, who is the most agile of his brothers, regardless of whether he's in robot or dragon form. In addition to his unwavering loyalty, he has the Siphon Claw that drains others nearby of energy so he can replenish his own. Each of the 4 Oni can summon the Dark Jarky army from any object in the surroundings. The Jarky will obey and attack any foe that their master chooses, and since they're demonic Terracons, they can also combine, although not always willingly, into the powerful Goradora, which poses a challenge for both of the Swordbot teams. They can also be powered up by their masters to have flying abilities, increased size and strength, and even combine into their powerful darkness form. So, with most of the cast now out of the way, let's dive headfirst into the stories of Transformers Go. So now, without further ado, let us begin with the first episodes of Samurai and Shinobi. So, we begin with the entire catalyst of this Predacon problem, that child, who decided to throw a rock into a dormant volcano which leads to the unearthing of the head of Dragotron. Now awoken, but not yet fully functional, his awakening allowed for the 4 Oni to be freed from their captivity underground, as Optimus watches from afar. Now from here, we separate into the different stories, so let's first take a look at Samurai. So, we get introduced to Isami, who is currently training in his grandfather's dojo and doing rather well until the Predacons Budora and Ghidorah attack. As it happens, Isami's grandfather had been in possession of the Red Legend disc. In desperation, the disc is given to Isami and is told to run to protect the disc. Meanwhile in Shinobi, Torbio is on a school trip to Nagoya Castle and is being lectured on the history and importance of this historic building. That is, until Judora and Bakudora arrive, stealing the legend disc hidden inside the golden Shachihoko statue at the top of the castle. Torbio realises this was why his grandfather had been training him in the way of a ninja, and bravely steals back the disc from Judora.
あら、どこ行っちゃったのかしら。
With the legend disc in hand, Isami is chased into a park playground where children were currently playing. And realising that by running, more people will be hurt, he turns to face the Predacons head-on. Budora sees this as a bargaining opportunity and threatens the lives of the children unless he is given the disc. However, Isami's passion to not give up powers the legend disc, calling forth the Autobots from their slumber, scanning the vehicles of a police car, a jet and a fire truck, granting new bodies for the Samurai Swordbot team. In Torbio's case, after he steals the disc back from Judora, Bakudora hunts him down. Angered by the child, Judora begins to attack random citizens, including the classmates of Torbio, stopping only if he turns the disc back over to him. Through Torbio's strength, the legend disc summons the Autobots from their slumber inside Nagoya Castle, revealing a lion, condor and a shark, otherwise known as the Shinobi team. Confused on how the Swordbot teams are still alive, Gaidora and Judora summon the Dark Jarky from nearby objects, but they prove to be no match for the Autobots. With the Jarky defeated, Gaidora and Judora fuses them together to form Goradora. Isami and Torbio desperately want there to be some way to help, and touched by their hearts, the Swordbots are able to combine into Go Kenzan and Go Geki So. Eventually defeating Goradora. And now exposed, they have a chance to strike the Predacons directly. Before they can do that, they are transported back in time and are shown the two other legend discs who have been lost in time before returning to the present. The Autobots thank the children who awoke them and urge them to help them in their fight against the Predacons. So, with the episode 1s now out of the way, I'm going to speed things up a bit as we continue into the episode 2s of the respective series. Now, we begin with Optimus explaining to the children that what they experienced was a time slip, as the legend discs in the past are being drawn to the legend discs in the present. Their goal now is to retrieve these legend discs before the Predacons can, as one of them is already within Dragotron, and if he were to obtain all 5, he will be able to bring about the destruction of their world. So, as Judora hunts down the Shinobi's disc, Budora uses the disc in Dragotron's body to go back in time and retrieve a legend disc, changing the present day in the process. In desperation, the Autobots find a spot to slip back in time to, and come face to face with the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, who was the owner of that stolen disc. Meanwhile, Judora and Gaidora jump Torbio and the gang, and all of them are taken back in time to the era of the great Kotaro Fuma, a descendant of Tobio's and a leader of the Fuma clan. Realizing that his ancestor has a disc, he pleads with him to hand it over to him to save the world. Kotaro agrees, if he can take it from him. Despite his many tricks, Tobio fails, being told that his underhanded tactics do not make him worthy of the disc. Back with the samurais, Musashi charges Budora and Bakudora to reclaim his disc with the Autobots by his side. As the Jarky form Goradora, the team combine into Go Jinbu and are eventually able to destroy the combiner. Stunned by this, Budora is attacked and blinded by Musashi, as Isami, with the help of Musashi's words of facing your fear, is able to briefly grab the legend disc before being smacked aside, losing the disc as they return to the present. At this point, the Predacons appear to capture Kotaro, summoning the Jarky and forming the powerful Dark Goradora. Their battle causes a wildfire that begins to endanger some monkeys stuck in a tree. Torbyo, desperate to do something, remembers what Kotaro said about relying on your comrades for help. So he calls on Sensui to put out the flames as he climbs the burning tree, as Kotaro swoops in to save the both of them before they are crushed. Seeing Torbyo's sense of justice, Kotaro believes that Torbyo is now ready and gives him the orange legend disc. With this new disc in hand, he combines the shinobi into Go Sensui and Go Hisho, destroying the formidable bot with their teamwork. But despite their efforts, the disc disappears as they return back to the present day. So, from this point on, we won't have any shinobi episodes until episode 5 of Samurai. So let's blast through these next 2 episodes now. Episode 3 begins with Isami's struggle with becoming better and faster with the help of the red legend disc. But he can't help but think that this is not his own true strength. He is assured that so long as he understands that the power he has been given comes from the disc and is not his own, proves that he has true strength from his heart. Being warned that Dragotron will soon revive, the team head back in time to witness a young Sakamoto Ryoma ruthlessly beating on his opponent. Isami intervenes and is challenged to a duel against the warrior with each of their legend discs at stake. Both are evenly matched, and Ryoma even starts to respect Isami until the Predacons storm in. Bakudora takes charge this time, summoning and forming his own Dark Gorodora, using the Combiner as a diversion to take the green legend disc from Ryoma himself. Before he can do that, Isami stands between them, with Ryoma confused as to how Isami is not scared of the Oni. He simply states that the disc must be protected no matter what, for the sake of the world. Realizing how selfish he's been, Ryoma gives his disc to Isami as Bakudora watches. Before Bakudora can take the disc, Isami combines the samurais into Golgano and conquers the Dark Combiner. Not satisfied with this, Bakudora makes one last attempt at the disc, knocking it free from Isami before they are all taken back to the present. Now entering episode 4, we begin with Gaidora asking the big question. To answer this, Dragotron gifts Gaidora with some of his evil power, as Judora looks on in shock. We then cut to Isami, who is doubting himself for not being able to retrieve any of the discs yet. Isami then soon awakes on a mysterious bridge all on his own until a huge warrior stands before him. That being none other than Musashibo Benkei, who has been waiting on this bridge until he faces a warrior that can defeat him in battle. With the help of the disc, he is able to defeat him and inadvertently becomes his legendary saviour. Clearly not being his saviour though, Isami asks what he'll do if it turns out that he is not the person he's been looking for. Benkei states that he will not give up, regardless of the mistakes he makes, and reveals that he too is in possession of a legend disc. Right on cue, Judora makes his entrance with the Jaki, but this time, rather than form Gorodora, Gaidora uses his new ability to fuse with the Jaki, more than tripling his size. He immediately overwhelms them before they have a chance to combine, as Judora battles Benkei for his disc. Seeing Benkei's resolve to not give up, Isami learns that he too should not give up so easily, and climbs up Judora, knocking the disc back to Benkei. Now combined, Gol Kenzan battles Gaidora and eventually defeats him, returning him back to his normal size before being blasted back to the present. However, having failed again, the Predacons return home, but before they do, the mountain explodes, revealing the true form of Dragotron, who swears to kill the sword bots and make this planet his. So, with those 2 episodes now out of the way, we get to rejoin with the Shinobi arc once again. So with the revival of Dragotron, both teams discover that the cause of the legend discs constantly disappearing is because whenever they encounter wicked or aggressive thoughts, they disappear into another time to prevent them from falling into the hands of evil. So with the thought of avoiding any confrontation with the Predacons, the teams head back in time once again. Isami and the samurai head back in time and meet Tsukahara Bokuden, who after some gentle persuading hands the green legend disc over to them, while Tobio saves an old man from an ambush. The old man recognises Tobio as a descendant of Kotaro and hands him the orange legend disc, revealing himself to be none other than the mysterious ninja Sarutobi Sasuke. Both teams are then able to successfully return to the present with both legend discs in hand. However, they are quickly confronted by the Predacons, who have been waiting for the Autobots to bring the discs back for them. However, these Predacons are not the same as they once were, as they are able to power up and grow in size without even the help of the Jaki. And in Asami's case, he is confronted with the arrival of Dragotron, who is massive and easily defeats Golkenzan in 1 or 2 moves. Then, high above the earth, a bright blue dragon comes flying down and scans a bullet train, transforming into it before riding off like we are watching an episode of Den-O. All 3 Predacons begin to assault the wounded Golkenzan as that train arrives to protect the Autobots. This train reveals itself to be none other than Optimus X Prime, the upgraded form of Hunter Optimus Prime. Optimus is able to knock down the 2 Oni and challenges Dragotron in his own dragon form. Who knew this Optimus was a triple changer? In his dragon form, he is able to showcase his speed and teleportation abilities against the Crimson Dragon. Dragotron respects Optimus for his skills despite his size before the episode ends. In the meantime, a fierce battle has commenced between Budora, Bakudora and the Shinobi, until the pair are eventually defeated by Gol Gekiso. Before the Oni could be slain, however, Dragotron arrives and overpowers them with his I-beam lasers. However, Optimus X Prime arrives and declares a stop to their villainy before we head into the finale of both these cool series. So, the final 2 episodes of these series are almost identical, but split off in how the ending is conducted. So, we begin where we left off, with the Autobots battered by Dragotron. The Oni take their chance and are able to kidnap Isami and Tobio along with their legend discs. They don't get far though, as Optimus is able to track them with what I can only assume is a blade compass. Arriving at the volcano, the 2 combiners meet face to face for the very first time, but they arrive too late, as Dragotron absorbs the boys and their legend discs into his body. Now in possession of all the legend discs, Dragotron begins to set his plan into motion, cyberforming the Earth, which to be honest is not what I'd expect from a giant dragon. Having absorbed their friends, both teams hesitate to attack, but just before they are dealt the final blow, Isami and Tobio begin to reject the evil in Dragotron's heart and eventually fall out of his body. With the boys now safe, the Autobots are free to attack him directly. However, their finishing moves prove to have no effect, being beaten senseless for their efforts. For his final act, Dragotron summons his 4 Oni before him, only to forcefully fuse with them into a gigantic Dragotron. In this form, he is able to defeat the Swordbots and Optimus in 3 moves. Isami and Tobio beg them not to give up, using the wisdom they've acquired from the warriors they've met in the past to touch the heart of the Autobots one last time. With this newfound courage, the combiners absorb the power of the legend discs flowing through the boys and form into a singular Kenzan and Gekisomaru. With the help of Optimus X Prime, they are able to combine into Dai Kenzan or Dai Gekiso, depending on which show you're watching. After an intense battle, they are able to defeat Dragotron, and he and his Oni are sealed into the legend discs as the land around them is restored. The end. Wow. So, that is all of Transformers Go, which was such a cool and unique concept to come from the Transformers series. Personally, I loved this show, from the music to the animation and the characters shown throughout. I know it did have its flaws, like reusing a lot of fight scenes, especially against the Jarky, as well as only seeing very little from the Predacon Oni themselves. But what really intrigued me through this was the use of time travel. You can see how the effects of the warriors of the past impacted the two boys, as well as how they impacted them in relation to their real-life counterpart. As well as in Shinobi, how the mirror will be passed through to different members of the Fuma clan, all the way up to Torbjorn himself, because of the impact that Torbjorn had on Kotaro regarding the discs in their first meeting. Overall, I would strongly recommend that you give this series a go, because my description of the show is just the bare bones of what occurs throughout. And if I were to choose between Shinobi or Samurai for the better of the two series, I think I would slightly lean more into Shinobi, as the beast modes are very cool, and I like Torbjorn a little bit more over Asami. Alright, so I was going to end the video here, but there was a couple of things that I did want to still talk about, but I didn't have any way to cohesively put them into this, so I'm going to talk about them now. So the first thing is, I find it very interesting that of all the Predacon's pairings against the Swordbots, Budora and Judora, and Bakudora and Gaidora are never seen fighting together. Don't entirely know what that means, I just suppose that a lot of them don't like each other. Another interesting thing outside of the show is that there is another Swordbot named Go Prime, who was the one who originally trained the Swordbots prior to their revival on Earth. He will need to be a topic for another day, but a short summary is that he had his own black legend disc, which is a form of Matrix, and was eventually killed by none other than God Neptune. Also, because of my recent fascination with this show, I may have bought for myself Judora and Geki Sormaru. I was hoping to also get Bakudora as well, but let's just say that he is still a little bit of a high commodity. Regardless, thank you all so much for watching this. I very recently watched this show for the very first time, and I just had to make a video talking about it. So now I've got to get back to the video I was originally working on now. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.